not long. With just 14 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. With just 14 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. With just 13 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. With just 13 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. MkII just posted a 2:13.638 crossing start finish. MkII posted 2:13.638 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time. MkII has a best lap time of 2:13.638.
MkII is not giving up and will be looking for every 10th.
Bionic Bromando has a best lap time of 2:51.545.
If there is still time on the clock, there is still time to improve.
With just 11 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Bionic Bromando posted 2:51.545 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time. Bionic Bromando has a best lap time of 2:32.391. There are just over 10 minutes left in this practice session. MkII has a best lap time of 2:13.111.
There is always more time to be found, but MkII is not guaranteed to find it.
MkII just posted a 2:13.111 crossing start finish.
MkII is not giving up and will be looking for every 10th.
With just 8 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Bionic Bromando has a best lap time of 2:32.391. Bionic Bromando posted 2:32.391 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time.
If there is still time on the clock, there is still time to improve.
It's a lovely day for racing here at Road America as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Ryan Wilson is on his practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at Road America as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Simon of the Desert is on his practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at Road America as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Simon of the Desert is on his practice out lap. There are just over 5 minutes left in this practice session. David Zahn has a best lap time of 6:52.557. It's a lovely day for racing here at Road America as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Kevin Lekmansky is on his practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at Road America as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. David just posted a 6:52.557 crossing start finish.
There is always more time to be found, but Dave is not guaranteed to find it.
David Zahn has a best lap time of 6:52.557. With just 3 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations.
Zahn is not giving up and will be looking for every tenth.
Bionic Bromando posted 2:25.717 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time. Bionic Bromando has a best lap time of 2:25.717. Kevin Lekmansky is on his practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at Road America as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. MkII has a best lap time of 2:13.111.
If there is still time on the clock, there is still time to improve.
With just 1 minute left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. MkII posted 6:19.023 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time.
There is always more time to be found, but MkII is not guaranteed to find it.
Nils Shepard is on his practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at Road America as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Nils Shepard is on his practice out lap. Desert is getting to grips with the ASRL T70 MkII Spyder in this practice session. Simon of the Desert is in turn 5. Simon of the Desert is on his first practice flying lap. MkII has a best lap time of 2:13.111.
MkII is not giving up and will be looking for every tenth.
MkII just posted a 2:14.725 crossing start finish.
The time clock can be a cruel mistress that is all too willing to show you your faults.
With just 1 minute left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations.
If there is still time on the clock, there is still time to improve.
Ryan Wilson posted 3:27.062 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time.
There is always more time to be found, but Wilson is not guaranteed to find it.
Ryan Wilson has a best lap time of 2:16.048.
Wilson is not giving up and will be looking for every tenth.
Ryan Wilson has a best lap time of 2:16.048.
The time clock can be a cruel mistress that is all too willing to show you your faults.
With just 2 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Kevin MkII posted 2:55.286 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time.
If there is still time on the clock, there is still time to improve.
Kevin just posted a 2:55.286 crossing start finish. It's a lovely day for racing here at Road America as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Kevin MkII has a best lap time of 2:14.390.
There is always more time to be found, but MkII is not guaranteed to find it.
Get ready for some high-octane action as the drivers take on the challenge of qualifying at Road America.
Strap in, folks, because we're in for a wild ride.
Nils Shepard is on his out lap.
This is the moment he's been preparing for. Let's see if he can execute.
Nils Shepard is keeping his head down through turn 1.
There's a great spot near here to kick back with a cold drink and enjoy the beauty of it all.
That ASRL T70 MkII Spyder looks good driving through moraine sweep.
If Shepard listens closely, the sounds of cheering fans should just barely be audible over the roar of the engine.
This is where the mental game comes into play. Bjorn Hemmen is taking his time to prepare for his qualifying run. Bjorn Hemmen is driving through turn 2.
The ASRL T70 MkII Spyder is indeed a sweet-ass looking ride.
Bjorn Hemmen is expertly commanding that car through moraine sweep. It's all about strategy in these early moments. Stefano Amodei is taking his time to prepare for his qualifying run and get everything just right.
Patience is key in these early moments, Hal, but I have a feeling Stefano is going to make it count.
Stefano Amodei is working his way through hurry-downs. Stefano Amodei completes that lap in his ASRL T70 MkII Spyder, putting him in P30. The adrenaline is pumping. Mellero is on his out lap, warming up the tires and getting ready to put in a fast lap time.
These are the moments that really matter. Let's see if Mellero can deliver.
Mellero appears focused and prepared driving through turn 5. Mellero is keeping his head down through hurry-downs.
When I get some free time after the race, I'm going to park my pudding near hurry-downs with a nice drink and some friends.
You can feel the tension building. Nils Shepard is out on track and getting ready to push for his qualifying time. That ASRL T70 MkII Spyder looks good driving through turn 4.
There's a spot near here where the teenagers sneak off to make out.
Nils Shepard is expertly commanding that car through Corvette Bridge turn 6.
This is such a great track. I need to make it back here more often.
It looks like Malero is getting ready to make his move. He's taking his time to warm up those tires and get everything just right.
It's all about finding that balance between staying calm and focused, while also pushing the limits.
Malero has completed his outlap. Malero is looking relatively composed going through turn 1.
Don't forget to check out the views near turn 1, they are fantastic.
There are just over 10 minutes left in this qualification session. Nils Shepard appears focused and prepared driving through Canada Corner. Kevin Lekmanski will be looking to use this first hot lap to set a solid time in the standings. That's the outlap done for Kevin Lekmanski. He'll now look to focus on his first flying lap. It's all about precision and speed in qualifying, and Sketty is nailing both. As Sketty completes the outlap, he will be hoping there's enough space on track to fully attack on the flying lap.
It's certainly exciting to watch, but let's not forget, the goal is to secure a good starting position for the race.
The pressure is on in this qualifying session, but Nils Shepard is rising to the occasion. This is what it's all about. Kevin Lekmanski is putting everything he's got into this qualifying session. Sketty is on his first flying lap. Sketty is driving through turn 4. Sketty is now up 7.46 in turn 7.
There's no guarantee that Sketty can maintain this delta through the rest of the lap.
It's clear that Kevin Lekmanski is pushing his car to the very edge of traction on this qualifying lap.
Let's see if he can put a good marker down.
Kevin Lekmanski is keeping his head down through Thunder Valley.
To see the best action, you can't go wrong here at Thunder Valley.
Kevin Lekmanski has completed that flying lap in 2:13.532, which is good enough for P3, down 0.426 to the leader. Sketty will be looking to use this first hot lap to set a solid time in the standings. Sketty just clocked a 2:15.934, 2.828 off of P1 and good enough for P5. Let's see if he can improve on that time further. It's all about precision and speed in qualifying, and David Zahn is nailing both. David Zahn has just completed that lap in 2:13.980, which is 0.874 off the best time, putting him in P4. This is what it's all about. Bjorn Hemmen is putting everything he's got into this qualifying session.
It's always impressive to see a driver in the zone like this Hal. Let's see if he can maintain this pace.
Bjorn Hemmen has completed that flying lap in 2:17.139, which is good enough for P6, down 4.033 to the leader. The pressure is on in this qualifying session, but MkII is rising to the occasion.
Absolutely. MkII is showing the world what he's made of.
MkII has improved by 0.54 up through Thunder Valley.
All we can do now is wish MkII luck as the start-finish line approaches.
MkII completes his lap in a time of 2:12.814, currently in P1. Simon of the Desert is working his way through turn 7. Simon of the Desert is in the green by 1.07, making his way through bend.
This is where drivers have to decide to push for more or just try to maintain it.
That ASRL T70 MkII Spyder looks good driving through Thunder Valley.
Spectators near here can smell the smoke wafting from nearby grills.
Simon of the Desert has some work to do, as his best time of 2:15.674 is only good enough for 6th. Simon of the Desert appears focused and prepared driving through turn 1.
This track has many great straights and corners, but this one is especially good.
David Zahn has improved by 0.11. Simon of the Desert is in the green by 0.23. Simon of the Desert is looking relatively composed going through moraine sweep.
There's not much better than sitting near here and watching the cars speed by.
Stefano Amodei is on his first flying lap. Stefano Amodei is driving through Hurry Downs and is up 0.47.
Stefano needs all the focus and resolve he can muster to maintain this pace.
Stefano Amodei is currently up 0.51 going through bend. David Zahn is up 0.49. David Zahn is expertly commanding that car through kettle bottoms.
Fans sitting near kettle bottoms get some of the best views of the action.
David Zahn is working his way through turn 14. David Zahn will be happy, with a time good enough for 4th in this qualifying session.
Every fraction of a second counts. He is surely working on that 0.935 gap to pole.
Bionic Bromando has found an extra 2.72. Bionic Bromando is driving through Carousel. Bionic Bromando is 2.8 up driving through Canada corner.
If Bromando looks at that delta too much, it may end up being a distraction, and all that time he found may be lost.
Bionic Bromando is now up 2.97 in Road America Straight.
There's no guarantee that Bionic Bromando can maintain this delta through the rest of the lap.
Bionic Bromando has some work to do, as his best time of 2:15.213 is only good enough for 7th.
That's not a bad time, but I am sure he will keep working on that 2.399 gap to pole.
A solid qualifying performance by Simon of the Desert, positioned in 8th. The question now is whether he can make further progress and challenge the frontrunners.
Spot on analysis, Hal. Simon is positioned well in 8th. It's crucial for him to maintain his focus and defend his position in the upcoming race.
Simon of the Desert is in the green by 0.3, making his way through Bill Mitchell Bend.
All we can do now is wish Simon luck as the start-finish line approaches.
Simon of the Desert has some work to do, as his best time of 2:15.192 is only good enough for 7th. Simon of the Desert is keeping his head down through turn 1.
There's a great spot near here to kick back with a cold drink and enjoy the beauty of it all.
David Zahn has put in a great effort and currently holds 4th. With the session winding down, time is running out to unleash his full potential for a better starting position.
I completely agree, Hal. Dave has plenty of opportunity starting in 4th. However, it's crucial for him to keep pushing and make up some positions in the race.
David Zahn has improved by 0.32 up through Moraine Sweep.
If Zahn gets greedy, this delta could go from green to red in the blink of an eye.
David Zahn is not able to keep his pace consistent, so far 0.32 seconds down through turn 7.
This isn't looking good. Hopefully he can improve on the next flying lap.
And there goes Kevin Lekmanski, currently in P3. He's shown great skill and consistency so far, but with a few minutes left, there's still a chance to improve on that time.
You're absolutely right, Hal. Lekmanski's current position of 3rd reflects his strong qualifying performance. Now, he'll need to strategize to capitalize on this starting position.
Kevin Lekmanski is down 0.25 seconds on the way through Carousel.
Kevin isn't looking great now, but I have faith he can turn this around.
Ryan Wilson has secured a respectable 5th in the qualifying session. This is a great spot to use as a launchpad for a strong race performance.
Couldn't agree more, Hal. Wilson is positioned impressively in 5th. Now, he'll need to build on this foundation and strive for an even better race result.
That ASRL T70 MkII Spyder looks good driving through kettle bottoms.
If Ryan listens closely, the sounds of cheering fans should just barely be audible over the roar of the engine.
Ryan Wilson is currently up 0.32 going through turn 14.
The rest of this lap is no cakewalk. Let's hope he can keep it up.
Ryan Wilson will be happy, with a time good enough for 3rd in this qualifying session. Ryan Wilson is expertly commanding that car through turn 1.
I have always loved this section of the track.
It's an impressive showing by Ryan Wilson, currently in 3rd. He's showcased his talent, but will need to find those crucial extra tenths to climb higher.
You're spot on, Hal. Ryan's current position of 3rd is a testament to his skills and determination. Now, there is the challenge of maintaining his position against hungry rivals.
It's a beautifully calm day here at Road America, as we're getting ready to kick things off.
The drivers are looking focused out there on the grid. I'm excited for this one, Hal.
Malero will be looking to convert his pole position into a win.
He can't let his guard down. The other drivers will be gunning for him.
MkII will be looking to convert this front row start into a win.
He will have to keep his foot on the gas in order to stay at the sharp end of the grid.
Lining up in third is Ryan Wilson.
The Canadian driver will be focused on a good result from here.
In the fourth position, it's none other than Kevin MkII.
It's not always easy to get the ASRL T70 MkII Spyder this high up the starting grid.
We're seeing David Zahn in the fifth spot.
He's going to have to be quick out of the blocks to keep up with the top performers.
The sixth place on the grid belongs to Stefano Amadei, a driver with plenty of experience.
Stefano will be taking no prisoners today.
Starting from seventh on the grid is a good position for Simon of the Desert to launch an attack.
It's the standards tires for Simon.
Starting from the eighth position, Bionic Bromando will need to navigate through the field to challenge for the win.
Lining up in the mid-pack.
Sketty will be looking to gain ground quickly starting from ninth on the grid. Bjorn Hemmen is 10th. Starting from 11th on the grid is not ideal for Nils Shepard, but he's a fighter. Lucas Crow has got his work cut out for him starting from 12th on the grid. And they're off, with drivers now facing the unpredictability of the opening lap. With so many cars close together, the risk of an early accident is real.
The opening lap is often a hotbed of potential problems. The ability to steer clear of any mishaps will set the stage for a successful race.
Having started in P1, Malero will be hoping for a good result in this race. Settling into a rhythm is going to be crucial here.
There are a few drivers with a point to prove, and a few with some grudges to bear. Let's hope they can keep it clean.
Stefano Amadei will be studying the nearby drivers and looking for anything that could give them an advantage.
It's always intense racing here at Road America. Hold on to your hats, folks.
It's brilliant to see such a full grid here today.
I'm looking forward to this one, Hal. Maybe we'll see a return to form for Simon in this outing in USA.
Out of the gates, and Nils Shepard is already turning heads and gaining positions.
I don't know what he had for breakfast, but it seems like Nils found the secret sauce for a fantastic start.
Races are often more about maintaining consistency than having outright pace, but it doesn't hurt to have a little good luck every now and then.
It all comes down to this, Hal, where the rubber meets the road. There's no more time for talk, no more practice. The teams have done all they can. Now it comes down to MkII to bring it home.
The tensions are high, and no one will want to make a crucial mistake on the first lap.
Let's hope everyone is able to stay focused for the challenge ahead.
There's some intense battling throughout the field as everyone is feeling out the drivers around them.
I for one am really excited, Hal. The rivalry between Stefano and David has been building before the race, and this is where scores are settled.
It's a steady race for Sketty so far, keeping it clean and maintaining focus. The pressure is on as MkII tries to catch up to MkII. There's not much to report on from MkII at the moment. He's just keeping his head down and putting in consistent laps.
Sometimes that's all it takes to secure a good result. MkII just needs to stay focused and avoid any mistakes.
Stop the press. What a move. David Zahn has moved up to 4th.
Absolutely. Dave is really putting on a clinic out there, and he's making it look easy.
David Zahn is looking for an opportunity to get around Stefano Amadei. Braking development. I don't think that's the fastest way around Road America.
For sure, Hal. That's exactly what I would be doing here, as Stefano is gonna be aware of him riding his bumper.
The pursuit is on. Bionic Bro Mando is closing the gap on Stefano Amadei, determined to claim P4.
This is not going to be an easy pass to make.
Sketty is running 7th, and trying to catch Bjorn Hemmen. Wow. Ryan Wilson is really pushing hard to catch up to Malero.
If Wilson gets any closer to Malero, he'll need to send out wedding invitations.
Sketty is giving it his all, chasing down Bjorn Hemmen in P6.
The gap between them is now just over 0.4 seconds.
Tough break for Sketty, who has just lost a position. Hold up, breaking info. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
Yes, but he can't give up. There's still plenty of time left in this race, and Sketty needs to stay focused and keep pushing.
While Ryan Wilson is not under immediate threat from Sketty, he can still benefit from staying focused. Any slip-up could lose him the position. Bionic Bro Mando is pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap to Sketty. There's 4 minutes left in this session to make that happen. Hold on a second. That won't be ideal for Bionic Bro Mando.
It's a real shame. Until this point in the race he'd been looking at a decent result.
These drivers are battling hard for this position, each one trying to outsmart and outmaneuver the other. Breaking news, folks. A great pass for Bionic Bro Mando, swapping places with Nils Shepard to move up the field. Looks like Stefano Amadei is really hitting those curbs aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. We'll have to wait to see if Stefano can use the draft to his advantage, or if the lack of downforce will hinder his progress.
The battle for P5 is heating up as Simon of the Desert tries to catch Bjorn Hemmen in P5. The gap between Simon of the Desert and Bjorn Hemmen is getting smaller.
That's a great effort from Simon. He'll need to keep up the pressure and see if he can make a move.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Sketty is closing in on Ryan Wilson. Sketty is in the flow, putting in his best lap so far.
The more laps they do, the faster these guys get. This should make for some great racing, Hal.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Simon of the Desert is chasing Bjorn Hemmen in P5.
Simon is really pushing the limits. He's riding the curbs and hustling that ASRL T70 MkII Spyder like a boss.
Every move counts now as Stefano Amadei works to reel in David Zahn and overtake for P3.
One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Stefano needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
Oh, this is getting intense. Simon of the Desert is just a few car lengths behind Bjorn Hemmen. Sketty is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. Oh dear, Nils Shepard has had an incident.
Shepard is not going to be happy about that.
This is what it's all about, folks. Stefano Amadei is in hot pursuit of David Zahn, who's just trying to stay ahead. Stop the press. It's looking good for Stefano Amadei, who has gained a place after passing David Zahn.
Absolutely. Stefano is showing great pace and determination, but he can't get too confident. There are still plenty of challenges ahead.
These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving.
Simon of the Desert is on a mission, chasing Bjorn Hemmen, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
Sometimes you have to take risks to win, but pushing the car too hard can be a costly mistake. Simon needs to be careful not to overdo it.
Hold that thought. Looks like that's a mistake from Lucas and Crow. This could be costly. Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed. This is a thrilling battle as Simon of the Desert edges closer to Bjorn Hemmen in their fight for P5.
The gap between them is just over 0.3 seconds. Can Simon close that gap and get back in range? I can't see it happening at this point.
The gap between Simon of the Desert and Bjorn Hemmen is widening. It's now up to 0.4 seconds. The pressure is on as Sketty tries to catch up to Bionic Bromando.
With just 0.3 seconds between them, Sketty will need to close the gap to have hopes of a pass.
Things are heating up as Simon of the Desert tries to close the gap to Bjorn Hemmen. The drivers are getting faster as they settle into their cars and get used to the conditions, with Simon of the Desert just putting in his best lap so far with 2 minutes.
Things are heating up now, Hal, and it'll be interesting to see if he can improve further on that time.
It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Sketty as there is a big gap ahead.
Every race adds to a driver's experience, both good and bad. It just highlights that Sketty is going to have to get more serious with practice to not get outclassed on the circuit.
It looks like Sketty is making a move. The gap to Bionic Bromando is now down to 0.8 seconds.
Exactly what Sketty needed. He can't afford to lose any more ground to Bromando.
Bjorn Hemmen is running 6th and trying to keep up with Simon of the Desert.
Bjorn Hemmen is really hustling that ASRL T70 MkII Spyder. He's riding the curbs and pushing the car to its limits.
Good news for Bjorn Hemmen, the gap to Simon of the Desert has decreased. It's now down to 0.6 seconds. Breaking news, folks. I don't think that's the fastest way around Road America.
Road America is always a test for these drivers, and sometimes that's the way it goes.
Looks like we've had a few incidents out there.
Someone forgot to take their driving lessons. They're making more U-turns than a confused tourist.
Hilarious. I think they might need to call their GPS for directions. Maybe it can help them navigate the track. Stefano Amadei is giving it his all chasing down David Zahn in P3.
The gap between them is just over 0.5 seconds, which can feel like miles if you're trailing and not catching up.
It seems like Stefano Amadei is struggling. His last lap time was a bit off the pace of David Zahn. The drivers are really pushing their limits out there on the track.
It's like they're trying to outrun the laws of physics, but we all know that's impossible, or is it? I mean, we're a couple of computerized robots commenting on a race. Anything can happen.
Hold on a second. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
Oops, Malero is going to be wishing that hadn't happened.
Bad jokes notwithstanding, you have a point there. And speaking of pushing limits, these cars are breaking records left and right.
They're so fast, it's like they're breaking the sound barrier, or at least the speed limit.
I hope the police aren't watching. Bionic Bromando is trying his best to catch Malero.
It's all about choosing the right moments to push and when to conserve energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
It's game on now. Bionic Bromando has closed the gap to Malero. It's now down to 0.5 seconds.
This is what racing is all about. Hard-fought battles with as much determination as respect, between friends and enemies alike.
Looks like Stefano Amadei is really hitting those curbs aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. Stefano is looking to close the 0.5 second gap and make a pass.
The race is really heating up. Bionic Bromando is hunting down Malero with everything he's got.
Bionic Bromando needs to focus to have a chance at getting past Malero.
It seems like Bionic Bromando is pushing hard, currently on track to record his best lap so far this race. Ryan Wilson has a mountain to climb at the moment to close that gap with Simon of the Desert. I expect his only hope at this point is that Simon makes an error.
Anything can happen yet, and it usually does. I've certainly seen drivers come back from worse.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Bionic Bromando is chasing Malero in P8. It's not going to plan for Bionic Bromando, who is trailing behind Malero and the gap is widening. He may not have an answer for this right now. This is where the race gets really interesting. Stefano Amadei is closing in on David Zahn.
I would not be surprised to see him get this pass completed soon.
Look at that, Bionic Bromando is hot on the tail of Malero.
The racing is getting tight between Bromando and Malero as they battle for P8. No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
Hold on a second, and Bionic Bromando has just won the place from Malero.
Yes, but Bromando needs to keep pushing hard. This race is far from over, and anything can happen. Bromando needs to stay focused and drive with skill and determination.
This is what high-octane racing looks like. Stefano Amadei is breathing down the neck of David Zahn, not giving him any room to relax.
This is what separates the good from the great, the ability to stay focused and perform under pressure.
Breaking update. An impressive showing from Sketty, who has gained positions and left Malero in the dust. The adrenaline is pumping as Sketty gets within striking distance of Malero in their race for ninth.
And the drivers know it too, Hal. He's giving it everything he's got, and you can see him pushing the limits of the car's capabilities.
It's a tense battle for position between Stefano Amadei in third and David Zahn in fourth. Stefano Amadei is keeping David Zahn at bay with a gap of 0.2 seconds. Oh, this is getting intense. Bionic Bromando is just a few car lengths behind Bjorn Hemmen. It looks like we might get a battle between Bionic Bromando and Bjorn Hemmen. Hold on a moment. Big gains for Bionic Bromando as they move up the field, leaving Bjorn Hemmen behind. Oh, the pressure is intense. These three drivers are displaying incredible skill and determination. It's like a high-speed chess match out there. The gap between Bionic Bromando and Bjorn Hemmen may be wide, but that doesn't mean Bionic Bromando is safe. He's got to maintain concentration and avoid any lapses in performance. Hold the phone. This is a tough break for Bionic Bromando. He just lost P8 to Bjorn Hemmen.
He's been focusing so hard on maintaining his position, and now he's slipped back in the field. Meanwhile, Bjorn Hemmen has been making some great moves and is now on the charge.
Stefano Amadei is placed 6th at the moment.
Definitely Hal, but Stefano can't afford to get complacent. This race is going to require focus and intensity.
The battle for P8 is heating up as Bionic Bromando tries to catch Bjorn Hemmen in P8.
Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. Bionic should use slipstreaming to his advantage and close the gap to Bjorn Hemmen.
It's not looking good for Bionic Bromando, who is still behind Bjorn Hemmen, and the gap is increasing. These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving.
Wait, that won't be ideal for Stefano Amadei. The pressure is on as Sketty works on catching up to Bionic Bromando.
Absolutely. Precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
Sketty is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Bionic Bromando to 0.4 seconds. Bionic Bro Mando is holding 8th, but Sketty is right on his tail. Breaking update. Looks like that's a mistake from MkII, this could be costly.
Sketty is certainly pushing all he can, but the gap might be too much. Unless Bro Mando makes a mistake, it looks like he'll hold on to 8th.
Hold on to your hats, folks. Bionic Bro Mando is right on the heels of Bjorn Hemmen, and we're in for a wild ride. It looks like Bjorn Hemmen is pulling away from Bionic Bro Mando. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through turn 7.
Bionic Bro Mando needs to focus and keep pushing, even when things aren't going his way. If he can close the gap down, he may be able to bring the fight to Bjorn Hemmen.
Tactics are clearly going to play an important part in this race.
Drivers are going to need to look after their tires and will want to keep something in them for the crucial latter stages, as their tires wear and fuel levels deplete in the handling changes.
And don't forget the track grip increases as more rubber gets laid down.
Indeed, the conditions are constantly changing and the drivers need to adapt, otherwise it can cost crucial time and jeopardize their position.
The action is non-stop as Bionic Bro Mando shadows Bjorn Hemmen through every twist and turn, determined to claim 7th. Breaking update. A great pass for Bionic Bro Mando, swapping places with Bjorn Hemmen to move up the field.
Go, 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 that's what we want to see.
Oh, this is getting intense. Sketty is just behind Bjorn Hemmen.
If this battle ends in tears, it could be like watching a high-speed domino effect. Let's hope they keep it clean and avoid any unplanned off-track excursions.
Breaking alert. Oh dear, David Zahn has had an incident. We've got an edge of your seat battle between Bjorn Hemmen in 8th and Sketty in 9th, with just 0.2 seconds between them.
It's an intense battle between two skilled drivers, and Bjorn Hemmen in 8th is doing everything he can to keep Sketty in the rear-view mirror. The slightest mistake could cost him the position.
Bjorn Hemmen needs to find some speed, or maybe get more consistent. Ada. He's just put in a slower lap than Sketty.
Hopefully Bjorn Hemmen can find some of that missing time and get it back.
Sketty is running 9th, and trying to catch Bjorn Hemmen.
You can see that car bouncing around as it rides the curbs. It's a risky move that could end in disaster.
This is a thrilling battle as MkII edges closer to Simon of the Desert in their fight for P2. Sketty is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. It looks like Sketty is making a move. The gap to Bjorn Hemmen is now down to 0.2 seconds. It's like watching two predators circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce.
As an experienced driver, I can tell you that MkII must be laser-focused on Simon's every move, looking for the slightest weakness to exploit.
Hold on a moment. It's a tale of two drivers right now, with MkII gaining places and Simon of the Desert losing them.
Yes, but MkII can't rest on his laurels, but needs to keep pushing to consolidate his position.
Sketty seems to be putting the pressure on Bjorn Hemmen.
There is no room for error in this battle.
A brilliant maneuver from Sketty, who has just moved up the field. The gap between Bjorn Hemmen and Sketty is razor thin as they vie for 8th in this nail-biting contest.
One wrong move and we could see a spectacular new synchronized pirouette performance by Bjorn Hemmen and Sketty, though I doubt the judges would give them a perfect score.
Every move counts now as Simon of the Desert works to reel in MkII and overtake for P2. Simon of the Desert is on a charge. His split time shows he's upped his pace. I don't think that's the fastest way around Road America.
Did the wind contribute to that? It's blowing at 3 kph out there right now.
This will require some expert driving from Nils Shepard. Stefano Amadei is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second. The gap between Nils Shepard and Stefano Amadei is getting smaller. The crowd is on the edge of their seats as Sketty in 8th chases after Bionic Bro Mando.
That's right, Sketty in 8th knows to push it to the limit to catch up. But Bro Mando is no slouch, and he's going to be pushing just as hard.
Looking at the lap times, Sketty is not currently on pace with Bionic Bromando. Maybe he'll get a chance to see where to make up some time. I'm curious, Ada, can you tell us about any pre-race rituals you had when you were racing?
Of course, Hal. Before every race, I would listen to a specific playlist of songs to help me get in the zone. I also had a lucky pair of socks that I would wear during races. It may sound silly, but those little rituals helped me feel prepared and focused.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Bjorn Hemmen trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Sketty. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts.
This is going to be a battle to the very end, with Bjorn Hemmen in P9 doing everything he can to catch up.
The gap between Bjorn Hemmen and Sketty is growing. It's now up to 22.9 seconds.
This is a tough situation for Bjorn Hemmen. He'll need to find a way to pick up some speed and close that gap.
During your racing career, Ada, how did you determine when it was the right time to pit for fresh tires due to tire degradation?
It was a combination of factors: Hal, monitoring lap times, communicating with the team about tire wear, and assessing the car's handling were all crucial in deciding when to make a pit stop for fresh tires.
Breaking news, folks. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line. Things are heating up as Sketty tries to close the gap to Bionic Bromando. Sketty could be on a charge here, Ada. He's just put in a quicker lap than Bionic Bromando.
We will have to see if Bionic has got any answers for that.
It looks like Malero is pushing hard to catch up to Simon of the Desert. It seems like Malero is pushing hard, currently on track to record his best lap so far this race. It's a close race between Sketty and Bionic Bromando in 7th.
When I was racing, we had a saying: if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space. Sketty is definitely living on the edge today.
Sketty is trying his best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Bionic Bromando at the moment.
This is a frustrating situation for Sketty, but he can't give up just yet. He'll need to keep pushing and hope for a mistake from Bromando.
Well, it doesn't look like MkII is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Kevin Lekmansky. Kevin Lekmansky is on fire in the last sector.
He's going to need to make some more room on that trophy shelf back home.
The leader has just finished the race. A fantastic result for Kevin Lekmansky. Impressive second-place finish for MkII. Well done to David Zahn for securing third place on the podium. Ryan Wilson ended in 4th. Followed by Simon of the Desert and Malero in 5th and 6th. Finishing 7th is Bionic Bromando. Sketty brings home 8th. Ninth is Bjorn Hemmen. With Stefano Amadei in 10th. Nils Shepard take 11th. It's a beautifully calm day here at Road America, as we're getting ready to get things underway. Starting from pole position is a great opportunity for Stefano Amodei to take control of the race.
He will need to stay cool under pressure. If he can do that, he'll be in with a chance.
Starting on the front row gives Bjorn Hemmen the best possible chance at challenging for the lead.
He can't let that advantage go to waste. He will need to stay focused and keep his eyes on the prize.
Coming in at third, we have Sketty.
Another good start for the American driver.
As the drivers prepare to take off, Bionic Bromando sits in fourth place on the starting grid.
A strong grid position, and he'll be expecting a solid result today.
Malero lines up in fifth place as the engines rev and the race begins.
Malero is in a good place to mount a good challenge come the first corner.
In sixth place, we have Simon of the Desert.
Like many others, Simon is starting the race on the Standards tire compound.
The seventh starting position belongs to David Zahn, who will be looking to make up ground early on. On the eighth grid slot we have Ryan Wilson. Lining up in ninth is Adam Keefe.
He can't afford to be complacent. This is race day, after all.
As the engines roar to life, Kevin Lekmansky prepares to take off from the 10th position on the starting grid.
Another mid-pack start for Kevin.
Starting from 11th on the grid is a decent position for Lukashen Crow, all things considered.
The Belarusian driver will want to show what he's made of today.
Nils Shepard will be feeling confident starting from pole position.
He can't afford to get complacent. He will have a target on his back now.
Green flag, green flag.
Maintaining a safe distance while still pushing for position is a delicate balance. Experience and composure will be vital in these opening moments.
Nils Shepard has got off to a great early start, already gaining places. Gotta be very pleased with that.
I haven't seen a start this impressive since the days of my racing career. If Shepard can maintain this level of focus, we're in for a thrilling race.
This is going to be one hell of a race, I can already feel it. As we watch the drivers fight it out in the first lap, I can already feel that this is going to be an epic race.
What a beautiful day for racing here at Road America. This is going to be good to watch.
The drivers are jockeying for position. Sketty will be looking to get off to a good start and consolidate his position. Not the start that Simon of the Desert wanted in this race. Seems he's been caught off guard from the get-go.
I'm sure Simon isn't laughing, but he's given us a bit of comic relief with that slow start. Time to get serious and make up some ground.
Terrible news for Ryan Wilson, already losing places and the race is just only getting started.
Well, Hal, it looks like Wilson is starting the race on the back foot. Let's see if he can get some of those spots back.
The stewards will be hoping that there aren't too many incidents for them to pick over when the dust settles on this one.
With this motley bunch of drivers, there is bound to be drama. I just hope we don't miss it.
As the tires come up to temp, their available grip is changing, and the drivers that manage this transition best are likely to make progress through the field. It's a solid performance from David Zahn at the moment. He's holding his position and not getting too caught up in battles around him. MkII is on a mission, chasing David Zahn, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. It's a steady race for MkII so far, keeping it clean and maintaining focus. This is what racing is all about. Two fierce competitors pushing each other to the limit.
It looks like Bro Mando wants to take a cheeky peek up the inside.
And Bionic Bro Mando has just won the place from David Zahn. Hold the phone. A tough moment for Bionic Bro Mando, who has just lost a place, now in 6th. Sketty is looking for a way to close that gap to Lucas and Crow. Hold on a moment. That won't be ideal for Sketty.
It's a real shame. Until this point in the race he'd been looking at a decent result.
The intensity is off the charts as Simon of the Desert hounds Kevin Lekmansky, both drivers pushing themselves to the absolute limit. Wait. Fantastic move from Simon of the Desert, who has just gained a position. Rising to the occasion and claiming victory would help to cement Bionic Bromando's legendary status. Hold on a moment. A great moment for Bionic Bromando, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings. Kevin Lekmansky is in 4th, and is being closely chased by Ryan Wilson, who is just 0.2 seconds behind.
If Wilson gets any closer to the back of Lekmansky, then one of them is gonna need some lube if they want to take this further.
The pursuit is on. Bionic Bromando is closing the gap on Sketty, determined to claim P8. Hold on a moment. An impressive showing from Bionic Bromando, who has gained positions and left Sketty in the dust.
Definitely, but there's still a long way to go in this race, and anything can happen. Bionic needs to keep driving with focus and intensity. It's all about finding the perfect opportunity. Bionic needs to stay patient and wait for Sketty to make a mistake.
I think Simon of the Desert is going to try and outbrake ASRL T70 MkII Spyder as they come into Kettlebottoms. This could gain him the place, but it may all end badly. Simon of the Desert is giving it his all, chasing down Ryan Wilson in P4. Bjorn Hemmen has the pedal to the metal, chasing MkII.
He'll need to keep it on the road, or at the very least the rumble strips. The fastest way around is not usually in the grass. As the saying goes, too much grass will slow you down.
Breaking update. Oh dear, Bjorn Hemmen has had an incident. Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed.
The gap between them is now just over 0.4 seconds.
Simon of the Desert appears to be losing ground on Ryan Wilson. He'll need to pick up the pace a bit heading into turn 1 to get a good exit and gain some ground. Let's talk about tire degradation. Ada. How does it affect the car's handling, and what do drivers need to do to adapt to the changing conditions?
Tire degradation can significantly impact handling. How? As the tires wear, the grip reduces, and drivers need to adjust their braking points, cornering speeds, and throttle application to maintain control of the car.
The battle for P8 is heating up as MkII tries to catch Bionic Bromando in P8.
He's got his work cut out for him, that's for sure.
MkII is on a charge. His split time shows he's upped his pace. Look at the way the drivers are hugging those corners, it's like they're on rails.
Speaking of rails, did you know that the first racetrack was built on a railway in 1896? I bet those drivers were chugging along.
All joking aside, I bet they were. Things have come a long way since then, haven't they?
Definitely. It's amazing to think about the technology that goes into these cars now. I mean, they have more computing power than some countries.
Things don't seem to be going Melero's way in this race, as that's a big gap he'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a place here. The race is really heating up. MkII is hunting down Bionic Bromando with everything he's got.
This is not going to be an easy pass to make.
No room for error here. Melero is breathing down the neck of Stefano Amadei, waiting for the perfect chance to make his move. Breaking news, folks. Great driving from Melero, who has just gained a place and moved up to first.
Impressive. Melero is really showing his skill and determination out there. This is the moment where legends are made. These drivers will go down in history as the ones who fought tooth and nail for the top spot.
The pressure is really on for Adam Keefe in 8th as Bionic Bromando is closing in. This is where experience and skill really count.
It's an intense race between these two drivers, and Bionic Bromando is going to have to try something here.
I'm sure Bionic Bromando in 8th is starting to notice Adam Keefe is right on his tail, and is still closing the gap.
This is a close race. Bromando is doing a great job defending P8. Adam Keefe is looking for any opportunity to put his nose in there and get Bromando off the racing line.
Hold up, breaking info. What a move. Adam Keefe has moved up to 8th.
Amazing stuff. Focus and precision, what it's all about.
It's an intense battle for position as Adam Keefe tries to outmaneuver Bionic Bromando. This is edge of your seat racing. The gap between Adam Keefe and Bionic Bromando is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Adam Keefe to even allow Bionic to get a look in. It's not going to plan for Bionic Bromando, who is trailing behind Adam Keefe, and the gap is widening. He may not have an answer for this right now. Hold up, breaking info. Looks like that's a mistake from Adam Keefe. This could be costly. Oh, this is getting intense. Stefano Amadei needs to keep Malero in his sights.
It's a fine line between pushing the car to its limits and losing control. Stefano is really walking that fine line.
It's certainly not going to plan for Stefano Amadei right now, who is struggling to keep up with Malero. You know, Ada, during a long race like this, how easy is it for a driver to experience a lapse in concentration?
It can be quite easy, Hal, with so many factors to consider and the intense focus required. Even the most experienced drivers can have a momentary lapse. That's why mental training and staying in the zone are so important.
The pressure is on as Kevin Lekmanski tries to catch up to Stefano Amadei. Good news for Kevin Lekmanski, the gap to Stefano Amadei has decreased. It's now down to 0.3 seconds. Big gains for Kevin Lekmanski as they move up the field, leaving Stefano Amadei behind. Oh, this is getting intense. Ryan Wilson is just a few car lengths behind Stefano Amadei. It's not looking good for Ryan Wilson, who is still behind Stefano Amadei, and the gap is increasing. While speeding through Moraine Sweep, Stefano Amadei is relentlessly pursuing Kevin Lekmanski in a high-stakes battle for position. The battle for P3 is heating up as Ryan Wilson tries to catch Stefano Amadei in P3.
We'll have to wait to see if Wilson can use the draft to his advantage, or if the lack of downforce will hinder his progress.
This one's going to be tough. Stefano Amadei is getting his elbows out, and there may not be enough time left for Ryan Wilson to make a move. Things are starting to get tense as Ryan Wilson manages to close the gap to Stefano Amadei. It's now down to 0.3 seconds. Ryan Wilson is running fourth, and trying to catch Stefano Amadei.
The mental game is just as important here. Ryan must keep his cool while putting pressure on Stefano.
Stefano Amadei is placed third at the moment, and hoping to keep his distance ahead of Ryan Wilson, who is 0.4 seconds behind. Hold up, breaking info. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line. This is where the race gets really interesting. Ryan Wilson is closing in on Stefano Amadei. It's game on now. Ryan Wilson has closed the gap to Stefano Amadei. It's now down to 0.1 seconds.
This is where the race gets really exciting. Both drivers will be pushing to the limit to gain the advantage.
We are used to seeing some hard-fought but clean racing here at ASRL. I'm expecting to see nothing different here today as this race unfolds. Hold the phone. The safety car has been called.
It can be frustrating for anyone who was in a strong position before the safety car came out.
They'll need to stay focused and make the most of any opportunities that come their way once the safety car is called in. Ada, can you share some strategies that drivers use to manage tire degradation during a race?
Certainly, how? Some strategies include adjusting the car's setup for better tire life, altering driving lines to reduce wear, and using tire management techniques like lift and coast to preserve grip for as long as possible.
The safety car is in play.
Let's not forget about the physical challenge of driving behind the safety car. The drivers need to keep their tires and brakes up to temperature to be ready to attack when the safety car comes in.
It's a real test of skill and endurance for these drivers, but that's why they're the best in the business. Let's see how this plays out. Hey, Ada, you've had your fair share of races with little action. How did you handle the situation back in your racing days?
Well, Hal, patience is key in such scenarios. You need to stay focused and be ready to seize any opportunity that comes your way. It's like a game of chess at 200 miles per hour.
We are under the safety car. It's all about finding that sweet spot and keeping your wits about you.
And while it's not ideal for the fans, there's something undeniably thrilling about seeing the safety car out on track. It adds an element of unpredictability and keeps everyone on the edge of their seats.
Let's hope we can get this debris cleared quickly and get back to the racing action. You know, Ada, as a former racing driver yourself, can you give us some insights into what goes through a driver's mind during these quieter moments in a race?
Sure, Hal. During these moments, drivers often take the opportunity to assess their race strategy, monitor their car's performance, and plan their next move. It's all about staying focused and finding the right time to strike.
The safety car is out on track, bringing the pack under control as we deal with some debris on the circuit.
This could be an opportunity for some drivers to pit ahead of the pack.
Of course, the safety car can really shake up the race order. Drivers need to stay alert and be ready to react as soon as we get the green light.
It's a tricky balance. They don't want to waste too much time behind the safety car, but they also don't want to burn out their tires too quickly trying to catch up.
Ada, how do racing drivers like yourself train to maintain concentration for long periods of time?
Mental training is a huge part of a driver's preparation, Hal. Techniques like meditation, visualization, and working with sports psychologists can help drivers build their focus and mental endurance for a race.
There's been an incident and we have a safety car, but it's all part of the game, and the drivers and teams will have to find a way to adapt to the situation. Braking update. And we're back. Safety car off, it's pedal to the metal time.
And who knows, this could be a blessing in disguise for some of the drivers who were struggling earlier in the race. They now have a chance to regroup and make a comeback when the safety car finally comes back in.
It's all up in the air, and that's what makes this sport so exciting. We got a close battle as David Zahn closes in on Simon of the Desert. Hold the phone. Superb driving from David Zahn, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race.
If Dave pushes too hard, he might end up taking the scenic route, and nobody's got time for sightseeing during a race.
Look at that, Bionic Bro Mando is hot on the tail of Sketty. It's a thrilling pursuit as Lucas Crow is right behind David Zahn, keeping the pressure on for 6th place. Braking alert. A great pass for Lucas Crow, swapping places with David Zahn to move up the field.
Absolutely, Hal, but there's still a long way to go in this race, and Lucas Crow can't afford to get complacent. A misjudgment by either driver could result in a close encounter of the tire barrier kind, and that's one handshake they'll want to avoid.
Hold the phone. Fantastic move from David Zahn, who has just gained a position. In racing, anything can, and usually does, happen, especially in such an epic showdown.
You know what they say, keep your friends close, and your racing rivals even closer. Looks like Dave is taking that advice to heart today.
It's all eyes on this battle as Sketty in 8th tries to hold off the challenge of Bionic Bromando. Hold that thought. The battle is on for Sketty. He's sandwiched between two rivals, Bionic Bromando 0.2 seconds away and Lucas Crow 0.2 seconds ahead. It's a true test of his racecraft.
You hit the nail on the head, Hal. The gaps to the cars ahead and behind are crucial pieces of information for Sketty's race strategy. It's a delicate dance, and he must remain vigilant. Yeah, I really can't see him holding on to this place for much longer.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. MkII is chasing David Zahn in P6.
One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. MkII needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
Braking update. That won't be ideal for Bionic Bro Mando.
Bionic Bro Mando is not going to be happy about that.
Things are heating up as Kevin Lekmanski tries to close the gap to Malero.
The gap between them is just over 0.4 seconds. Can Lekmanski close that gap and get back in range? I can't see it happening at this point.
Looks like we might have a great battle starting here between Simon of the Desert in 4th and Adam Keefe. It's been tense with a gap of only 0.4 seconds. Braking development. A great moment for Simon of the Desert, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings.
Surely he's got enough in the tank to pull away. Gonna be interesting to watch this battle unfold.
Things are getting spicy now, as Adam Keefe and Simon of the Desert look to battle it out for 3rd place. The crowd is on its feet as Simon of the Desert chases down Adam Keefe through turn 4.
They say rubbing is racing, but if Simon gets too close, they might end up trading carbon fiber souvenirs instead of positions.
Every move counts now as Kevin Lekmanski works to reel in Malero and overtake for P1.
Sometimes you have to take risks to win, but pushing the car too hard can be a costly mistake. Lekmanski needs to be careful not to overdo it.
It looks like Malero is pulling away from Kevin Lekmanski. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through turn 8. Sketty is on a mission, chasing Ryan Wilson, who's currently got a comfortable lead.
Can Sketty close that 0.8 second gap and get back in range? I can't see it happening at this point.
Sketty has just put in a faster lap than Ryan Wilson, so that's going to give him something to worry about.
As long as Sketty can maintain that consistency and pace, it will be interesting to see.
Kevin Lekmanski is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift.
Kevin is really pushing the limits. He's riding the curbs and hustling that ASRL T70 MkII Spyder like a boss.
It seems like MkII is getting in range of Ryan Wilson.
And if you're enjoying the racing, please remember to like and subscribe.
Wow, Sketty is really pushing hard to catch up to MkII. Hold on a second. It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Sketty gaining places and MkII losing them.
Absolutely. Sketty is showing great pace and determination, but he can't get too confident. There are still plenty of challenges ahead. Can Sketty close up enough for a pass? I don't see it personally.
MkII is staying focused while chasing Sketty in P8. Kevin Lekmanski is on a mission, chasing Malero, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. It looks like we might get a battle between Kevin Lekmanski and Malero.
This is where the pressure really starts to build. A driver that stays calm and focused is more likely to come out on top.
These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. This is where every inch counts. David is pushing hard to close the gap on Stefano. Absolutely. Precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed. Hold up. Braking info. A brilliant maneuver from Kevin Lekmanski, who has just moved up the field.
Kevin is looking to close the 0.5 second gap and make a pass.
Hold the phone. A setback for Ryan Wilson, who has just been passed. The gap between Ryan Wilson and Sketty is not insurmountable, but it's going to take a mistake from Ryan Wilson to bring Sketty into play.
Absolutely. And on the other side of the equation, Sketty can't afford to let up. He's got to drive with intensity and focus, and wait for any opportunity to arise.
It's a game of inches now as Malero tails Stefano Amadei closely, ready to capitalize on any mistake.
Should things go awry, Malero and Stefano might find themselves giving a whole new meaning to the term tandem drifting, though I doubt they'd enjoy it as much as the spectators.
This is going to be a nail-biter. Stefano Amadei is defending for his life, but Malero is right there doing everything he can to force a mistake. The pressure is on as Malero tries to catch up to Stefano Amadei.
The racing is getting tight between Malero and Stefano as they battle for P5. No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
The fans are on the edge of their seats. It doesn't get any closer than this.
Stefano is so close to Dave that if this were a dance floor, they'd be doing the tango.
Great driving from Stefano Amadei, who has just gained a place and moved up to 4th. Braking development. Oh, the frustration must be building for David Zahn. He's just lost 5th position to Malero and he's going to have to work hard to get it back. The action is heating up here as David Zahn is in 5th, defending from Malero, who is only 0.3 seconds away.
That's right, Zahn is showing some great form and it looks like Malero won't be able to catch up, barring any mistakes.
It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Sketty as there is a big gap ahead.
It's not over until the checkered flag drops, and it's important to maintain concentration until you've made it to the finish line.
The gap between Sketty and Ryan Wilson is widening. It's now up to 3.5 seconds.
Sketty needs to get it together to make a dent in that gap.
We've certainly seen some of the drivers get it wrong today.
Anyone lost can just follow the trail of skid marks. I hear it's the latest form of GPS navigation.
Let's hope the other drivers don't follow suit. We might end up with a bumper car race instead of a high-speed competition.
At least we'd have something to fall back on if we ever get bored of regular racing. Bumper cars might be the next big thing.
This is a thrilling battle as Malero edges closer to Stefano Amadei in their fight for P4.
The gap is 0.4 seconds now. Malero is going to have to work a bit harder to close that gap with Stefano.
It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while.
That's right. MkII is determined to pass Lech Mansky and secure a higher position.
Things are heating up as Malero closes in on Stefano Amadei. The gap between them is down to practically nothing. Braking alert. And Malero has just won the place from Stefano Amadei.
Yes, but Malero needs to keep pushing hard. This race is far from over, and anything can happen. Malero needs to stay focused and drive with skill and determination. It's a thrilling battle for position as these two drivers give it their all. This is racing at its finest.
Stefano Amadei is giving it his all, chasing down Malero in P4.
The gap between them is just over 0.3 seconds, which can feel like miles if you're trailing and not catching up.
Hold on a second. Oh dear, Kevin Lech Mansky has had an incident.
Oops, Lech Mansky is going to be wishing that hadn't happened.
The pursuit is on. MkII is working on that gap to Kevin Lech Mansky, determined to claim P1. The pursuit is on. Stefano Amadei is closing the gap on Malero, determined to claim P4.
It's a game of strategy now as Stefano hunts down Malero. Yes, it's all about choosing the right moments to push and when to conserve energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
Hold on to your hats, folks. MkII is right on the heels of Kevin Lech Mansky, and we're in for a wild ride.
The only thing closer than MkII to Kevin right now is the paint on their cars. Talk about a close encounter.
It looks like MkII is making a move. The gap to Kevin Lech Mansky is now down to 0.1 seconds.
That's a great effort from MkII. He'll need to keep up the pressure and see if he can make a move.
I love being here at Road America. What an awesome place to be witnessing these titans of the track battle it out.
Indeed, Hal, what a magnificent sight and sound. I love listening to the roar of these engines. Let's just listen for a moment.
It looks like Kevin Lech Mansky has found another gear in the last sector of the race.
He'll be the one celebrating at the finish line.
And there it is. Kevin Lech Mansky has completed the race in first place, setting a blistering pace that none of the other drivers could match.
What a result for Kevin. He'll be absolutely thrilled with that performance, and rightly so. He really put in the work and it's paid off in spades.
A nail-biting finish, but Simon of the Desert claims second place.
Brilliant. Simon showed great skill and determination to take second place.
What a race from Melero, showing his skill and determination for a great third-place finish.
Impressive driving to secure that spot.
Stefano Amadei, Adam Keefe, David Zahn, and Ryan Wilson in 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. 8th and 9th sees Sketty and Bionic Bromando. Lucas and Crow claim 10th.